Hello, welcome to the Chit Knits Podcast. My name is Darcy, and I am the maker behind Chit Knits Designs. And this is a podcast that's mostly about knitting, but maybe a little bit of crochet might be thrown in today. So, how are you? It's been about a week and a half since I talked to you, and it's been busy here. We had the 4th of July, which was really fun. I hope you had a good time. And the best part was that we had our 4-year-old grandson visit, and he was such a delight. We kind of just dropped everything and played with the 4-year-old for a week. And you know what? We're not going to regret that decision because we had such a good time. The only thing that wasn't as exciting as we thought it would be is we took him to a rodeo, and my fault, I had the time wrong, so we ended up sitting for quite a while before the rodeo started. And I think by the time things got going, he was tired and kind of ready to leave. So we watched a little bit and then we left because there was no point in sitting through if he wasn't enjoying it. So anyway, it was a great week. We'd love to have him again soon. Just really glad we did it. And today, a little bit later, I'm going to show you a couple of books that are really favorites, and those are about grandparents. So I know if you're here for the knitting, I'll make it short, but I think you'll enjoy these books. So I hope you hang in there and give me a couple minutes to show you some really fun children's books. All right, so another thing you might see here is a little ukulele. This is actually, I don't really play this one. This was my husband's ukulele when he was a kid. And so it's about, I'm gonna say close to 60 years old, probably, yeah, let's say right around 60 years old. He got it for Christmas when he was a kid, and he did play it a little bit, but I think it's just really pretty. We use it as a wall decoration, but it's kind of cute. And I put that up there because this week is a crazy busy week with my ukulele group. And I talk about that, how much I enjoy the group. And we have 3 events we're playing at this week. So it's a busy week, but lots and lots of fun. Great people. We just really have a good time together. So I thought I'd put the ukulele in the screen there, in the shot, because it's so cute. All right, so we're going to talk about knitting today and crochet. And the first thing let's talk about is what I'm wearing. I have finished my rocket tee. This is a pattern by Tanis Fiber Arts, Tanis Lavelli. I can't say her last name correctly, but I've talked about it in the last 2 podcasts, and you know what? It's so comfortable. I told you that I didn't use mohair because I'm not comfortable in it. I just use 2 fingerings. This grayish, bluish one is something that was deep stash. So hurrah for using something and using it up. I just have a little bit left. And then the coral one was one I did purchase, but I only had to purchase one skein, Coats and Company, in the colorway coral. And I love the way it turned out. I think that gray blue kind of looks like faded denim blue, and so it's gonna go really well with jeans. And it's super comfortable, so really excited. And I did look at the pattern this morning because I wanted to mention that there are 11 sizes on the pattern, so that's pretty size inclusive. It goes from a 32-inch bust, finished bust to a 68-inch finished bust, so very size inclusive. And I was knitting on this a couple weeks ago when I went to Rochester for the Stockinette Zombies retreat, and I saw numerous ladies wearing this top, and all sizes, and that what made me think, what a great pattern, because it looks good on all sizes. So I'm going to just go up a little bit so you can see a little bit better. I think it turned out really well. I like it. It's comfortable. I made it a little bit loose fitting, so it's not, negative ease. It's very comfortable loose. It's going to be a great thing to wear. Perfect for today, because we got up this morning and the temperatures were only in the 50s. It dropped 30 degrees overnight, but that's going to come back up. So no worries. Perfect thing to wear this morning though, and that's the Rocket Tee. All right, you're also probably seeing something I've pointed at here, my crochet blanket. Crochet. Can you believe it? I made those, I'm working on those little squares. I'm ready to sew them together. I'm not going to show you because I'll show you those next time. But that also got me going on just making a granny square blanket out of scraps. So this is the kind of thing I'm using. I just have lots of leftover sock yarns, some in smaller, some in larger. And I really would just like to use some of that instead of have it just sit and taking up space. So my goal is to just kind of use as much as I can and then be rid of the rest. Try to kind of clean out some of that. But anyway, here's my blanket. What I'm doing is I'm holding two fingering weights together to try to get a little closer to a DK weight. I did kind of put that big blue thing in the center. I really like that blue, so I think I maybe have made that smaller. I don't know. I was just going. Now, it's, of course, because I'm just going around that center square, it's square. And I want this just to be a lap blanket for me to use. It will probably live on the back of my chair, my TV chair, and be there when I want to, warm up a little bit in the winter. So I'm going to have to do something to make it rectangle, because I just don't think I want it square. When I've often found in quilting over the years that I don't really care for a square quilt. So I think what I'm going to do is probably go one more around. And then what I think I'm going to do is on two ends, I'm going to not go back and forth, but do some stripes on the ends to build it out farther. And then I might go around again after that. I don't know. I also thought about making some smaller granny squares and kind of like a patchwork across, so maybe that'll happen too, because I do have a lot of pieces now that have gotten pretty small that are definitely not going to go all the way around, and of course I could scrap those together too, but maybe I'll start making some smaller ones and then crochet those together and make a strip and start putting those on the ends. You probably have better ideas about that than I do. So if you have a good idea for me, let me know. I'd love to hear it. This crochet sort of made me think about my past and my history. And so I just like to take a little minute and talk about when I was a girl growing up. I grew up in Northeast Nebraska, and I grew up in a teeny, tiny little town. Probably, I think it had like 110 people. I mean, it was tiny, kind of a wide spot in the road, but it was kind of a magical place because there were a lot of retired. It's an agricultural community, so there are a lot of retired farmers and maybe even farm wife widows who lived there. There seemed to be a lot of widow ladies who lived in these little houses in this little town back in the late 60s, early 70s. But anyway, what was magical about that was it was sort of a community that watched over all the children. And these ladies were so wonderful because I learned to crochet from these little ladies. They were willing to teach us their craft, what they loved doing. And so it was really kind of a magical experience to be able to learn these things from, a variety of people. So as I've been crocheting, it's kind of been taking me down memory lane, thinking about this little wonderful, loving, caring community that I lived in. So interesting thought that maybe our crafting can bring memories that are good for our souls. Let's put it that way. All right, just a little talking about on and on. But anyway, let's get back to the knitting. All right, so I showed you last time that I had one of my Americana socks finished, and guess what? Now I have two socks finished. Yay! So this was a Lion brand yarn, and I talked about Stash Pass, and I was able to pass that yarn on to Lisa. Last time I was able to mail that out, and I was so excited to be able to, this yarn was passed to me, and then I took the extra skein I had and was able to pass it on. So that made me really happy to do that. And anyway, so I just made I wear a 64 stitch, size 1 needle. And I actually do like to use the 9-inch circulars when I knit my socks. I started that maybe about a year ago, and I find it, for me, it is faster. I can really fly along pretty well on a 9-inch circular. So, you have your way. I tried it a few years ago, and I thought, this is crazy. I can't do this. A good friend of mine, Diana, does it. Uses a 9-inch circular, and I was like, you are nuts. This hurts my hands. I don't like it. But then I thought, well, I'll just give it a go again. And it took me about half a sock a year ago to kind of get into it. But now I just love it, and I can really, really fly. So thank you, Diana, for your inspiration. So I just striped, and then I stopped here because I wanted to use a flower stitch. And this is the dandelion stitch that I added just a couple of repeats of that in, because I was exploring how we could put in some flower stitches into our knitting, just different creative ways to add some stitch patterns. And I thought they looked like fireworks, so that accomplished my goal. And then I just kept going. I used the royal blue mini that I had for the heels and toes, and I had plenty of yarn. So, and I did get a good match on my stripes. So that was exciting. They don't, with me, that they don't have to stripe, they don't have to match, but I get excited sometimes when I do get a good match. So those are just some basic, it was just a plain vanilla, except I added that band in there. So 64 stitch, size 1, 9-inch circulars. And I'm happy they're done. And yes, it was too hot to wear them on the 4th of July, but that's okay. They're pretty, and I like them. All right, so then guess what? 2 pairs of finished socks. And this one, I'm not sure if I showed this a little bit before, but these are called the crisscross socks. And now you're not really seeing the beauty of this pattern. This is a new Chit Chat Knits pattern, and this is not showing you the beauty of them, because the beauty, I'm going to take it off here. The beauty of these socks is down the leg. I used a cable stitch pattern down the leg. Isn't that a pretty cable? And then I might have talked about these before, but now they're done. I also ribbed on the back of the sock because I like my socks to not be sloppy. I like them to snug on my leg. I like them to stretch. I like them to come back. And because there's a lot of ribbing, so to speak, they look terrible. They don't show well. But when you get them on the leg, and I do have a picture, I'll try to put it in here, they really make a nice fit. And then I also wanted to I like when the ribbing and the design flow together, so that the ribbing flows into the design, flows through the whole garment. So on a sock or a hat, if I'm using ribbing, I always try to make it so that there's not a disruption when you change the pattern. It flows from one to the next. So here's what I did. I flowed from the ribbing into the cables, and then I flowed from the cable down to just some interesting rib on the top of the foot. The back of the foot is just plain because, that feels good to me in a shoe when there's not stuff going on in the bottom of the foot. But I think I accomplished it pretty well. Look at the flow from that ribbing down the back of the leg. I like the way it turned out. And so right now, this pattern is being tested, and we're shooting for around the 1st of August. So that's what is today? The 10th. So about 20 days or so, testers are knitting away. And let me tell you, I started another pair. I want to show you this yarn because I love it. The day the testers started, because I always like to knit my patterns twice myself so that I know that I can feel confident that I've done the best job I can in putting a pattern out, and that it will be, that knitters will be able to knit it. Of course, that's always the goal, is that it's understandable. But anyway, I started a new pair the same day that testers started theirs. And oh my gosh, they are flying through. I'm like, hurry, I gotta catch up. My testers are way ahead of me. They are just going nuts. Let me take my little marker off, my little row counter. But so this is as far as I've gotten on mine. And some of them have already turned the heel. They're just going crazy. And I've been like trying to catch up, go fast. But I have to show you this because this yarn, oh my gosh, I love it. Look at that. It's a purple, but it has, it's a tonal of purple, but it has pink kind of hues underneath it. And I just love it so much. I think it's so, so pretty. This yarn is by Fangirl Fibers. And I told you last time that I like to knit part of one, part of the other. So now I'm to the heel flap. I may make the heel flap and heel turn. And then I will start, or I might just start the second sock. See, I've wound them off in two different, I didn't even worry about them being even because I knew that I had plenty. So now I will start my second sock and then work the cable, because the cable I have takes a little more focus. You have to be reading the chart or reading the pattern each row. I do anyway. But once I'm on the heel flap and heel turn and the gusset, then I'm pretty much like automatic, doing it. And especially when I get down to the foot, then it's just knitting it, go around and around. So that's pretty much, I don't have to think about that. Where the top part I have to think about. So I always like to get the socks where one of them is, I can just knit without paying attention, and then a little more focus on the other one. So that, if I'm riding in the car or whatever, if I'm sitting and my husband and I are visiting, I can just knit, and not have to be, taking my attention away. So that's the plan now. In the next today is to get the next one going and get that one, because this one now is just at knit. Okay, that was a long ramble to just say that I must start the second sock. Sorry about that. That kind of went on and on. Anyway, look at that beautiful yarn. Let me show you her label. This is Fangirl Fibers. And the colorway is called Boo to You. I love it. It is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, great for socks. Fingering weight, 400 yards, 365 meters in 100 grams. So it has a nice body to it. Love it. Love it, love it. And I think she is from Milwaukee. So I'm in western Wisconsin. That's eastern Wisconsin. And I just use kind of my little go-go gadget for today. I know there's a ton of ways. My dear friend Mimi is a knit companion expert. She is so great with Knit Companion. I need to update my iPad to use Knit Companion right now. It's super old. But this is what I do. I just use one of these little row counters. I stick it on a large safety pin, and I just pin it to my work, the bottom of my work, and it hangs there. And then as long as I remember to switch the numbers, it's right there. We all have different ways. I'm sure you have an awesome way that you've worked out how to keep track of your rows. Sometimes I'll also just write them on my pattern, but I kind of default to these little row counters and just doing that. Now, it's not so great when a grandchild gets a hold of it and clicks, but that doesn't happen very often. One time, a couple of years ago, we were on a little family ski trip, and my dear friend Laura was with us, and she had left her knitting sit down, and she had one of the clicker type of row counters, and our little grandson was about 2, and he toddled over and was clicking away under Grandpa's watch, mind you. And Grandpa said, Laura, did this mean something? Should he have been clicking this? And she's like, yes, that was my stitch count. So, Grandpa. Anyway, speaking of grandchildren, our books today are really fun. And I have 2. And I have actually, I purchased them, but I've also given them to friends as they've had their little grandchildren come along, because they make a great gift for grandparents. And they are How to Babysit a Grandpa and How to Babysit a Grandma. And these books, they're hilarious how-to books. So let me just read a little bit here. Babysitting a grandpa is fun if you know how. Within the pages of this book, you will find essential tips for being a good grandpa sitter, including how to play with grandpa, things to do on a walk, snacks grandpas like to eat. So the next time your grandpa rings the doorbell, you'll know exactly what to do. Be sure to have the crayons, shark toys, and ketchup ready. So as you can see, these books are written from the perspective of the child babysitting the grandparent, not the grandparent babysitting the child. So I just marked off a couple of pages in the grandma one that I thought were so cute. It says, here's the picture. If your grandma likes fancy things, decorate her with ribbons, bows, and stickers. Shout, ta-da, when you hand her a mirror. How hilarious. And then I love this one. It says, teach her how to say, I love you without making a sound. Point to your eye, point to your heart, and point to her. Isn't that sweet? So my grandson thought the grandpa one was really funny, and I'm saving the grandma one for when our little granddaughter is just a little bit older. So it's fun books. Again, if you're looking for, sometimes you have friends who maybe are having their first grandchild and you'd like to get them a little gift. This is a perfect little gift for them. All right, so I saved something for last because I came in the mail yesterday and I just love it. And that's why I called this episode Summer Vibes, because this yarn definitely has a wonderful summer vibe. This is from Candy Shop Yarns, Deborah of Candy Shop Yarns, and this is actually a self-striping. I'm so excited to wind this up and see what it's like. And then she has two little minis in there, a very pretty lavendery purple. This is kind of a tonal. There's a little pink hue to that too, and then a pretty yellow one. And this is her simple syrup sock set, 400 yards in 100 grams, 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and then there's 80 yards per each 20-gram mini skein. I love her color aesthetic. She gets me because I just love all these summery, bright, fun colors. And she sent along a couple of cute little stickers. Pool party, and this one is upside down. It says summer vibes. How cute are those? And this one is called Poolside Paradise. Last I checked, this was, I think I got the last one. But, who knows? Maybe she'll dye it again. I don't know. But I have a cowl design brewing to make with these. So I think that might have to go on the needles today too. I might have to get started on that because I had so much fun with my Knit Chat cowl. And that was a self-striping, I'll put a picture right here, the Knit Chat cowl. And it's just fun to use self-striping in something other than socks. So I'd like to do another cowl design with this yarn and see if we can come up with that. I got an idea. So I'm hoping it works out on paper and on the needles like it's working out in my mind. I think it should be good. So I'll keep you posted on that. Candy Shop Yarns. Oh, look at that. Who couldn't love that? Wow. Anyway, that's next. All right, last week I told you about a make-along by Ruth Loves to Knit. That was the Dust 'em Off Mal. And I want to tell you about another one. And this is my friend Carla of the Carla Knits Podcast. And she has one running now. And it's called the Merry Make-Along. And she has a group on Ravelry, the Carla Knits Podcast group. So she has all the details in there. But what a fun way to get started on some Christmas knitting. I have great intentions of doing that. Carla, I'm trying. I really have some ideas that I want to work on for your Merry Make Along. So hopefully some of that will get going too this week. So check out Carla Knits Podcast, Merry Make Along. Get started on those Christmas knits. It's never too soon. Let's not get to the end of get to December 1st and be panicking. Yeah, I will. You know I will. It'll happen. Anyway. All right. I guess that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed seeing a few summer vibe projects. I'd love to hear what you're knitting right now. I hope you will leave a comment so that I can see what you're doing, hear what you're doing. And if you would subscribe, hit the like button, and hit the bell, I would be so grateful. Thank you so much for joining me today. Happy knitting.